The House of Representatives is part of the legislative body of the country. It is composed of 286 representatives. One of them is Congressman Roilo Golez from the 2nd District of Parañaque City. On January 9, 1947, in Looc, Romblon, a public school teacher gave birth to a boy named Roilo. That boy had a humble childhood, growing up in a low-cost government housing project 3 in Quezon City. He is a product of the public school system in Quezon City, and through hard work and perseverance, he finished his studies and even managed to study abroad. He married Natty Golez and currently has 2 children, Rico and Guada. He has assumed leadership roles in different organizations for a long time now, which includes being the former national president of Boy Scouts of the Philippines and the Amateur Boxing Association of the Philippines. In terms of politics, he is currently on his 6th term as congressman of the 2nd District of Parañaque. Roilo Golez was not originally from Parañaque. Despite being exposed to the world of politics at an early age, he never thought he would actually enter it.
I think even I did not anticipate that I would enter politics. One reason why I went to Parañaque from Quezon City was to have a quiet suburban life. But instead of having a quiet suburban life, I got drawn into politics. That may not have happened if I stayed in Quezon City.
And that started it all. He learned that serving the public, especially through the provisions he makes, is a job that excites him. Of course, it's not easy to enter politics. You have to compete against other competent leaders for the votes of the people. As someone who successfully won the Parañaqueños' votes during the 2010 elections, Congressman Roilo Golez talks about what he believes one should do in order to win an election.
Speaker, number 1 is start your re-election campaign right now. Number 2, when some people will go to you, always assume that his request is very important. It may be trivial to you, but it may mean the world to him. So give it importance. Don't dismiss it as unimportant. And then number 3, sabi niya, if a person would approach you, come to you for anything, make sure that when he leaves, he has something with him from you, either a note, maybe some kind of assistance, a letter of recommendation, help through hospital. Yun.
So yun po yung naging strategy.
Yeah, parating always assume that be always out, be visible, go around, be always in contact with your constituents. Don't hide from them.
He applied these principles to himself in order to form his own strategies, which proved to be effective given that he is now serving his 6th term in Congress. One of the most important strategies he had was his visibility. In fact, we personally experienced how visible and approachable he is, given that we were able to contact him through his YouTube channel, which he personally maintains every day, together with his Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Examine my Facebook entries it's my journal, entries of me going around visiting all kinds of places.
How do you manage that? I mean, with the busy schedule that you have, how do you manage all the Facebook account and YouTube account?
Yeah, you have to manage your time. I wake up early and I sleep late. So I have maybe about 20-25% or even 30% more working hours than a normal person. And that's a big advantage.
It's medyo mahirap at madaming ginagawa being a politician. What keeps you going? Why do you still...
Well, you have to like what you're doing. Diba? In anything, if you like what you're doing, it gives you energy. For example, you may have a guy, maybe your brother, maybe lazy in doing some household work, no? Parang walang energy, pero pag nagba-basketball siya, he can play basketball the whole day. Diba?
Out of all the positions one could run for, we wondered why Roilo Golez chose to be a congressman.
For congressman, why not other positions in government?
Well, I like one thing about legislative work is you can have a combination of policy making, which is very exciting at the national level, and also doing work for constituents, something which maybe a local executive will not have. Let's say local executive is running the city, but not so much high-level policy making on the major policies that affect the national government.
His job is not easy. He has a lot of responsibilities to juggle.
Tell us more about what you do as a congressman.
What I do is legislative work. Like here, we do legislative work. We work in committees. We listen to speeches. We deliver speeches. Like yesterday, I delivered a privilege speech on the Scarborough show. It's a big issue right now. It's been there since about April 11. It's almost a month already. So-called standoff. A local executive will not have the excitement of dealing with a big problem like that. At the same time, we have to do constituency work.
Those are just some of his roles as a congressman, which is discussed in Article 6 of our Constitution. Being a busy man, he tries to make sure that he does his job well and maintains his relationships with his constituents. He does not take his position lightly. Instead, he diligently performs his duties according to what his idea of good governance is.
To me, good governance is responsible government. When I say responsible government, it's when you say responsible, you have a sense of responsibility. You have to be aware that there are things that you must do. That's why you have to wake up early. That's why you have to give time to your work. At the same time, when I say responsible, responsive also. You respond to needs, to requests, to the extent that one can. But of course, you have to manage time. I cannot attack concerns and situations in 360 different directions because I'll be exhausting myself. I might not be able to create an impact. So I have to have my own priorities also instead of the situation dictating what my priorities are.
He also mentions how it is important to set your own priorities. In his words, you can listen to everybody, but you cannot follow everybody. One of his main priorities is building schools, the silting of roads, and the creation of Goleziums, which is his version of basketball courts. As the lawmaker, he keeps in mind what are essential to the country's development. This makes him have a very strong stance regarding various issues that we are currently facing.
Some thoughts lang po sa following issues. Sa RH bill po, ano pong opinion niyo?
I'm against it.
Can you explain?
Because I think it's misusing funds. If the problem is, for example, maternal mortality, then we should build more hospitals. We should have more doctors and nurses. And maternal mortality, infant mortality is a problem that is happening in remote areas, but they try to lump this up. So, ilan lang yan eh. So we should address those areas and invest more money instead of spending billions for contraceptives and condoms. The so-called population growth rate is exaggerated. It's only 1.9. And if you go from one region to another, many regions in the country have a very low growth rate. In fact, I worry about their replacement rates.
How about the freedom of information bill?
I'm in favor of that. No. Wag lang abusuhin. Wag lang yung mga fishing expedition. Because pag masyadong magkaroon naman too much fishing expedition, what will happen is that we might end up into becoming an investigative society. We just investigate private people instead of being proactive about development. Ang hanapin natin, we go into fault finding and going into little things.
About yung impeachment po ni Chief Justice Roilo Golez, ano pong reaction niyo na?
I'm just observing. I think it's something that we have to go through. These practices are very important. Scarborough Shoal is very important. These are many of these islands and features are within our exclusive economic zone. It is incumbent upon us to defend our exclusive economic zone because that is part of our national wealth. In fact, there may be more wealth there within the 200-mile limit than what we have in Terra Prima. Mas marami like fishing resources, minerals, and oil. So we have to defend that. There's this big country that is trying to claim part of this. So we have to resist that.
In the country?
I'm lagging, I'm against lagging. I'm also anti-mining. Although of course some people have said, but it's something we have to do. Yeah, but we must be responsible. Because we have a long history of irresponsible mining. Many open pit mines have been abandoned. And if you look at some mining communities, they're scarred environmentally, like Marinduque, Cebu area, some parts of Mindanao, Baguio area, some Cordillera. Mining is even more destructive than logging because not only do you destroy trees, but you also dig deep into the bowels of the earth. And I always ask the question, show me a mining town that prospered. I cannot show any town that prospered, but I can show you a lot of towns that prospered without mining. And instead of digging for gold, they were able to find gold through the power of technology and the power of ideas.
On a more national scale, sa tingin niyo po ba yung government ni President Roilo Golez nagpa-practice ng good governance?
I think so. Yeah. Yung kanyang no wang-wang, to me, is not just symbolic. It is addressing a major ill in our country, which is arrogance of power. Maybe very simple, but very telling. And he's the one leading the example. And then yung good governance niya, yung daang matuwid. It's good that he announced it, and by announcing it, he made a commitment that it should be the one followed also, not only by himself, but by his government.
With how things are going, Roilo Golez is very positive with how he envisions the Philippines in the coming years.
Actually, he talked about the study that he read about, and according to him, by 2015, we will reach a sweet spot in our economy where we will enjoy more investments. And he said that by 2050, our country will actually be the 16th most economically progressive country in the world.
With the short span of time that we have spent with Mr. Roilo Golez, and from the answers we have gathered, we see how Roilo Golez is not only a politician that dreams of serving his people and staying in power, but also dreams bigger to help the country reach its full potential, one step at a time.
So having a vision, he not only sets a goal, but also sets the steps and actions he must undertake to reach that goal. And more importantly, he has the political will and drive in what he does. Because he really knows and loves what he does, he gets to do his job well, as if not having to work a day in his life.
We can see that he is a man that puts country over self. With the number of years that he put into office, it is evident that he really loves his work. He also said that himself, that we have to love something to do our best in whatever we choose to do. He is a prime example of a nationalistic Filipino.
Also, from the interview, we noted that he knows his priorities and strives hard to reach them for the good of his constituents. This is one of the many reasons why people like him and re-elect him over and over again. His selflessness paved the way to the people's heart.